So, does your mix sound muddy or messy, and you're struggling to get it to sound as good as your favorite artist? This is the exact same problem my client had with this track. So in this video, I will show you the mixing techniques I use every single mix to go from a track that sounds like this to this. So first of all, I want you to listen to the kick from this track compared to the reference track. Can you tell the difference? Now instead of just listening, I want you to look at the analyzer. Did you notice how the reference track kick is so much more consistent? So that's the first problem with this track. So I actually went and made a kick. It sounds like this. It's a little bit different. But when compared with the kick from the reference track, they both have the same consistency. Not consistency in terms of they're both balanced. Which makes them a bit more powerful than the kick from the original track, the one my client made. Just look how it's losing a lot of frequencies around this area. So reason number one why your track is messy or muddy is because your kick is not powerful enough. So that can make it disappear when everything is plain. Now we have another problem, and that's with our sub. Listen to this, look at the analyzer, and I want you to tell me what exactly is the problem here. Did you figure this out? I call this, well, not me, but this is how it's called, phase cancellation, when the sub frequencies and the kick are clashing with each other. Just imagine this. If two people want to sit on the same chair, it's just not possible. One of them will have to fall to the side, right? So what we need to do in this case is actually very simple. I'm going to make a cut like that, and I'm going to get rid of this just because it's the same note, right? So let's remove that. And what I want to do is add a fade where the kick is. Something like this, right? Something like that. And then I can go and duplicate this across. Let's play them now together. Aha! What an easy fix. So reason number two why your track sounds messy and muddy is because your sub is clashing with the kick. But we have few more bass elements. Now, most producers think that if you add more bass elements, it will make your basses feel more powerful, but usually that is just making it sound more messy. Because if you just stack sounds on top of each other, it can cause phase cancellation and it can cause the sound to feel muddy, unless done properly. So we have this sound first of all, and then we have this one. They both play in the same spot, but they don't really add anything, right? We also have this one. So a lot of problems here. What you want to do first of all is make sure that this note doesn't overlap with the kick. That will already make things sound a lot cleaner. So let's do it quickly. Okay, so we sorted out the phase cancellation here. Now nothing is overlapping with a kick, right? So things naturally will sound more cleaner, but this is still sounding kind of muddy, this sound. Right? So I added a little bit of EQ to clean some of the mud. Sound already much cleaner. Nice, and I did the same thing with this sound. So we have another layer here. It complements the sub bass really nicely, but it sounds too consistent, which just makes things kind of disjointed. It feels messy. So I added a plugin called Gatekeeper, and all it does is just volume automation, which adds this pumping effect. Listen to this now. So reason number 3 why your track sounds messy and muddy is because you have too many bass layers. Let's move on to reason number 4. Now, what do you think will happen if I put 20 people inside this room? It's really not a big room, it's a tiny studio. They will all be squeezed and they would hardly be able to breathe. So why aren't you treating the sounds in your track in the same way? Now, you can have plenty of layers, but you need to make sure that each one has its own space in the mix. I want you to listen to all of these percussions together. I'm pretty sure that there is a lot of layers here that you can't even hear, and they don't contribute anything at all to this mix, and they're actually making it feel a little bit messy. We want to make this sound clean and punchy. Let's start from the beginning. So we have this sound. Right, I think the other sounds that it's competing with, it's probably this. These two sounds fit nicely together, although I can take this sound and make it a little tighter. So keep this on beats, go to transient, and then choose forward and stop, and let's tighten up the envelope a bit. Okay, things sounds a little tighter. So let's move on to these two sounds. We can separate them a little bit so they don't interfere with the kick and the bass elements. So what you want to do is like this. We have an EQ on one sound to just isolate the character a little bit. And then we have an EQ on the other one to kind of move it further away from this sound. Like this, I pushed one sound a little bit to the lower range of the frequencies and one sound to the higher range of the frequencies. So we have a little bit more contrast. And like that, we create a little bit more space for all the rest of the sounds. Then we have a couple of layers here. So we have this, and then we have this, and then we even had this. So do I actually need all of these layers? First of all, let's isolate the character of these sounds. So we have this. That's quite a high sound, so I added an EQ and pushed all the low frequencies away. Then I have this sound. Right? It's kind of low, so let's isolate the character and make it even lower. Nice. Playing them together. They complement each other nicely. Okay, but we have more sounds. We have this one. Now, I'm not sure this sound actually added anything at all. Like, can you hear any difference between this and this? Hardly. Now, in the context of the entire mix, it doesn't make any sense to add this sound. It doesn't add anything at all because there's so much other elements that are occupying the same space. Then we also have this tom that's really low. Again, in the context of the entire mix, you just can't hear it at all. So reason number 5 or 4 why your track sounds muddy and messy is because you have elements which don't contribute to the track. You can't even hear them in the context of the full track. I also have this sound. Really, really nice. So I added an EQ to just clean it up a little bit. You can even hear it playing in the context of the entire mix, but when I take the EQ off, it sounds a little bit boomy and muddy. You can really hear that when the EQ is off. So reason number 6 why your track sounds muddy and messy is because of lack of EQ to clean your sounds. EQ is the best tool you can learn to make your track sound clean and polished. And by the way, I don't really care if you subscribe to my channel, but do leave a like because that helps the algorithm, and I would really appreciate if you can share this video with your friends. So thanks in advance. Okay, next we have this sound. Now, this sound is quite audible, but we can make it sound better by actually moving it to the sides. How can we do that? So I'm using a plugin called Filterverse. It's basically a bunch of filters, and you don't have to use this plugin. You can do the exact same thing with all the Ableton stock plugins. And if you want me to make a video about that, then just leave a comment below. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually moving the filter to the left and to the right. Everything is kind of swirling around and adding a lot of movement to your track. So reason number 7 why your track sounds muddy and messy is because all of your elements sit in the exact same space. Now, I will make a separate video talking about the leads in this track, where I will show you how you can make them sound spacious and wide. Now, the student that made this track was really struggling with his muddy and messy mix, and he only ever produced a couple of tracks before he joined my program. But within a couple of weeks, he actually finished 2 tracks and actually got better with each track that he produced, and even told me recently that record labels started approaching him, wanting him to make more music. So if you want to get to that point as well, if you want a clear structure to go from an empty project to a professional sounding track without spending years trying to figure it out by yourself, then my program is made exactly for you. Just click the link below this video to find out everything that you get. But if you're not ready for that and you feel that your track still sounds muddy and messy, then you need to learn how to use EQ and compression to make your track sounding clean, powerful, and loud. And that's why you need to watch one of these 2 videos next. So, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned some cool things, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.